Black Lives Matter. Support the NAACP, the ACLU, the Bail Bond Project, and podcastsincolor.com. There are links in today's show notes for just some of the ways you can stand up for your fellow human beings. Hey everyone ever, and welcome to 20th Century Pop, the show where we try to understand the present while living in the past. My name is Tim Blevins.
And I am Bob Canning. Tim, I love part ones. Do you like part ones? Like when you see that something is a part one, does that excite you because it's like, wow, that means there's going to be a part two?
It can. Yeah, I think so. Like I do. Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure do.
Well,
you bet. Hot Shots part one. So much better than Hot Shots part two.
No, see, let's take that. Like Hot Shots, fine. Okay, great. There's Hot Shots the movie. If it was called Hot Shots Part 1, the first time it came out,
hubris.
Wouldn't you be excited a little bit excited to know, like, wow, they've got something big planned.
I think it's, yes.
Maybe Hot Shots is a bad example.
I think if I saw something that was called, you're right, it's a weird example because yes, that's true, but then going off of experience anyway, so maybe this is hindsight, if I saw something called Hot Shots Part 2, I would not be excited for that.
Yeah. I think it works better with episodic television. Yeah.
To have like a part one?
Yeah, because I've been binging with my daughters Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen that.
I've seen a little of it. I've seen more of Korra, the follow-up.
See, I haven't seen any of that. I had seen a little bit of the Airbender, but we're digging it. And when the episode starts, it has the title, and when it has a part one, I'm like, oh, awesome, because it just means it's going to be a bigger episode, a little bit bigger episode.
Oh, so you like that? You like something bigger than the estimated half hour?
Yeah, well, I like the anticipation of knowing that this is something more. Which I think this episode of 20th Century Pop is a part one, which is why I'm bringing this all up.
You think this is a part one of a two-part episode, topic-wise? Well,
I know that it is.
Well, you know it is. I'm not entirely sure the listener. I don't know how it's going to be titled, but yeah, let's say it is. So you'd be excited if you came to something you come to on a pretty regular basis.
Right at this moment, we are discussing, and I think we've decided when you post this, you should put part one.
Okay.
For this, so people know that they've got to come back for part two.
That's why. I mean, if that's the case, maybe I'll start numbering every episode part one because it'd be nice for people to come back. But so good point. You're talking about the topic of today and the topic of next week. What, for those who are mistakenly listening to this without having checked the show notes for the title of the episode, what is today's topic?
Today we are going to talk about a couple movies each of the movies we have seen the most.
Yes.
Well, and here's the other caveat that I added to it.
The other what?
Did you ask what I said?
I was just asking how you said it.
The caveat that I've added. Caveat. Am I not using that term correctly?
Is it caveat?
Caveat. Some additional restriction to what we're discussing, I guess.
Yes, no, I know what it means. Is
okay.
The A. I don't know if it was a harder or softer. Caveat versus caveat.
Yeah, I grew up in upstate New York, so I do have a weird A accent.
And I'm thinking of those fish eggs. That's why I'm doing that.
Well, that ends with an R. Caviar.
So the one caviar is... What was it that you had for this?
The caveat, it had to be a movie from the 20th century, obviously.
Well, yes, that's a given.
I included post-20th century in my viewing calculations.
As did I. I think that's fair.
So that's how I did it. So there may be something post-2000 that might edge up into the top 5, maybe even the top 2.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
But I left those out.
So yeah, I guess these are kind of movies from our childhood that we've seen the most.
Yeah.
Is it best to say it like that?
I guess so, although, we were into our college years by the end of the 20th century.
We're in our 40s now. I think that's our childhood. right?
I don't know. I don't think of my 20s as my childhood.
I do. I think of your 20s as your childhood.
Oh, well, thank you. No, wait, that doesn't sound...
That's a great compliment. Yeah, so so these are movies, and yeah, I guess I'll explain how I calculate it in a minute. Before we jump in, I guess, and I know for me the answer is yes. Do you tend to watch a lot of movies more than once?
Yes. Not so much now, but certainly in my childhood.
So like in your college years?
Yeah. I had to whittle it down and really get to the nitty gritty of which ones I saw the most, because there were a lot that I did see repeatedly.
But you were able to figure out two that you think are the two you've seen the most.
Yes, I have figured out that these two must be the two I've seen the most. There might be a third in there that I haven't done the correct calculations for.
Okay.
But it's these two for sure.
Well, if it's calculations you want, yeah, why don't I start? Because I love the math on this.
I'm curious. You said that you thought it was one movie, but you've corrected yourself because of your math. What math did you use?
And I don't have an exact number. I think it's impossible to have an exact number, because I don't know if a viewing means from start to finish or if a viewing means a good portion of it, whatever. But the movie that I think I've seen the most in my entire existence, through my entire life, through all the things I've ever watched or seen.
This is number one.
This would be the movie. Yeah, this is the movie. And I can say with confidence that this is what I've seen the most out of every film I've watched. It came out in 1986. Came out in August of 1986. The movie that I've seen the most, and I saw it when it was in the theater, which was very exciting. And then for a while, every week after that, was the animated film, The Transformers, the movie.
Laserbeak returns, Megatron.
Welcome, Laserbeak. Unlike some of my other warriors, you never fail me. Soundwave, play back Laserbeak's findings. As you command, Megatron.
I want you to make a special run to Autobot City on Earth.
But,
listen, Ironhide, we don't have enough Energon cubes to power a full-scale assault. Ready the shuttle for launch. Now, all we need is a little Energon and a lot of luck.
More than you imagine, Optimus Prime.
I used to watch this film every week.
Wow.
Through middle school. And into high school. I'd watch it when I was sick. I'd show it to any friend who came over. I remember I started writing a longhand novelization of it in longhand of myself. I remember copying down the entire closing credits. I just fucking loved it.
Wow.
It continued and stayed this thrilling thing to view, even as friends' opinions changed back and forth. Like, did we ever watch it together? Do you remember watching it with me?
Yes, I must have watched it with you. Yes, because I hadn't watched it. I did not see it in the theater. I knew it existed. I think at some point it became, and you would know, did they ever air it as episodes?
They did. They broke it into 5 episodes, of which my estimation prior to it was pretty close. They did a pretty good job of breaking that up.
Oh, good.
Yeah. They don't give awards for that, but they are giving notoriety for it right now in the show.
So I'm sure I saw it as an episode. But I never went back to it. But then I did watch it in college, and it must have been with you. I don't know anyone else that would have shown it to me.
I feel like it still very much holds up. And I know that's a weird thing, because a lot of times it's this slipping into like a childhood nostalgia thing. Like, even the actual animated Transformers series does not hold up. And I'm willing to say that. I'll watch it for nostalgia, and there's very good voice work and stuff, but it's not as engaging or endearing if you try to remove it from the childhood spectacle of it. This film, I don't know. This film still has all the weight of what it was to me.
Was the film created, produced, written by the same company, same people that did the series?
Yeah, the film was actually put into production during the first season of the show. It went through different drafts and all, but yeah, it's same voice actors, same continuity, just more money put into it and a bigger scope for it. But the look of it fits in enough, and that was the thing. This was a big screen spectacle of this beloved cartoon. I mean, that cartoon, the toys very much so, but more than the toys, I would say the cartoon and the characters on that cartoon were sort of my Star Wars at that time.
Wow.
And it does kind of wrap up every aspect of like 80s nostalgia for me. It's cartoons, it's a movie, it's robots, it's toys, it's music. It's all wrapped together. So it is something I can keep going back to. And I don't mean to say it again, but I love showing this to people. I mouth along with it. I get chills with the scenes. To me, this is similar to the Star Wars movies, similar to a lot of movies. This is an ultimate sharing experience for me. I watched clips of it as recently as last night because it is something that I find comfort in, something that is just such the perfect bow of childhood, but also just holds up as a well put together, interesting sci-fi story, I think.
Does it stand alone? Do you need to know the series to watch it?
I mean, I think you can follow it. It's not like it's a complex plot, but I don't think I'm the one to answer that because part of the impact for me was how much these characters could mean. I mean, the movie takes some bold steps. It kills off, and again, they'll say it was to get rid of the toy line for new toys, but they kill off characters you would have been coming to see in the first 4 minutes. It's a dark movie.
Hard to see.
A lot of it takes place in the vastness of space. No, I mean, it's got a lot of stakes. What's the movie you think you've seen the most?
So the one I believe that I've seen the most, and I think you'll guess it once I tell you the release year.
I feel like I'll guess it once you tell me the title.
That too. Released in 1947.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. I didn't really think ahead. Okay, yeah.
You want to tell me?
Is it Abbott and Costello meet a hilarious fisherman? No, It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Look, who are you?
I told you, George, I'm your guardian angel.
Yeah, I know. You told me that. What else are you? What are you? You a hypnotist?
No, of course not.
Well, then why am I seeing all these strange things?
Don't you understand, George? It's because you were not born.
Well, if I wasn't born, who am I?
You're nobody. You have no identity.
Oh, what do you mean, no identity? My name's George Bailey.
There is no George Bailey. You have no papers, no cards, no driver's license, no 4F card, no insurance policy. They're not there either.
What?
Zuzu's petals. You've been given a great gift, George. A chance to see what the world would be like without you.
Much like you, I've certainly seen it at least once a year since, I don't know, I was 7 or 8. Probably saw it before that. It was probably on when I was younger and just didn't realize
I don't think we're counting stuff like in the womb or a crib.
No, I'm not counting that, but I'm just saying, like when I was 4 or 5, it might have been on. So I was probably in the room. But I'm counting like from my conscious recognition of having seen it. I must have been 7, 8, 9.
Now, people know It's a Wonderful Life, right? People know it's what would you call it?
What would I call It's a Wonderful Life?
Just real quick, just in case someone's like, it's a what now?
So you're wanting me to explain what It's a Wonderful Life is because somebody listening to this might not know what It's a Wonderful Life is.
I guess that is. I guess we could edit that. Okay. Sure. I mean, it's a holiday movie.
It was actually released in January after the holidays in 1947. But over the years, and there's been lots of things written about this, it played. It was public domain for a time. It sort of lost, the rights were lost. It was public domain. And so it played everywhere all the time during the holiday. I would watch it on, WPIX. And then I would change the channel and it would be on my local ABC channel. And the thing about it is there were times, especially when I was younger, because it was on television, I may have finally caught the beginning and seen how it opens with the cards, the credits, the pictures kind of pulling away. And maybe I hadn't noticed that the last time I had seen it or the last couple of times I'd seen it. Or maybe I missed something because it was cut out of this particular airing. They cut out him crashing his tree into the car, perhaps, and they just cut to him walking on the bridge. And it's like, then I see it.
So he's piloting a tree around Bedford Falls?
Say that again?
He's piloting a tree around Bedford Falls?
Did I say it that way? He runs into a tree. He drives his car into a tree.
Yes, that makes sense.
I'm not sure how I said it. But so there were little things I would always, when it was on, I would watch it because I would keep catching different things that were either edited out of a previous version or I just hadn't seen it because I had gone into the kitchen to get a snack, and so I've missed that. And so
it was rewarding to repeat.
Yeah, like every viewing was constantly something new and something more, and building the story and having a better understanding. Until eventually, I was gifted or purchased. I can't even remember if it was a gift to me or if I bought it myself. But as soon as I could get it on VHS, I got it. I think it was even on a two. It was one of those 2 tape movies because it was kind of long, so they put it on 2 VHS tapes.
Now, so how old were you when you got it on VHS?
I was in high school. I couldn't tell you the age, but I was in high school.
Prior to that, did you always just see it on the holidays?
Yeah, prior to that, it was just the holidays. But it was multiple times during the holidays.
Okay, and that's why the number goes up.
That's why the number goes up.
And there's an effort to that, to have to find something. I didn't really talk about this because I had the movie on VHS tape, but the effort of having to, even though it's on every channel in public domain, you can only watch it when it's airing. So to have multiple watches of that's a lot of work. Once it came out on VHS, did you watch it other times of the year?
I did. Not often, but maybe once or twice a year off the holiday season. And then again, at least once during the holiday season, especially after NBC got the rights, and so they would only air it once, maybe twice during the season on NBC.
Was this something you showed people? Was this important for you to watch with other people? Like how was it coming up again and again throughout the year for you to watch?
Yeah, it never became that kind of movie because it was already ubiquitous, you know. There wasn't anybody I needed to present it to that hadn't seen it before or hadn't at least been made aware of it. So it never became that kind of movie. It was really... for me, it was just something I connected to as a kid, and continued to love growing up. And then when I moved in with my future wife, and then as we married and stayed together, we had a tradition of watching holiday movies every year, and that was always one of them.
Has it ever been on and you've kind of wandered out? Have you ever gotten bored with it or been like, you know what, I can skip this? Like, do you ever skip through or walk out on it when it's playing?
No, no, not if it's, if it's on NBC, I might not finish it because I know I've got it and I plan to watch it. We generally would watch it Christmas Eve, so I know I'm going to see it that season. But if I've got nothing else to do and it's on, I'm watching that. I'm not going to be like, I'll do something else tonight.
Oh, does it work in segments? Can you watch just a little bit? Or does it
sure.
Really
I know enough of it. You know, I've seen it enough times that all the moments, like I can watch the end scene. You know, a lot of times for people, you need to watch the whole movie to have the emotion build up and everything. I can watch that end scene where his brother says to George Bailey, the richest man in town. I mean, even just me saying that right now gets me welling up a little, because that's just such a huge fucking moment. And it means that much more because you've watched the movie, but because I've seen the movie so many times, I choke up every time, even if I'm just seeing that clip. Even if I just see a still image of that, it can choke me up.
The thematic aspect of a film, you know, that's big, that has a celebratory anniversary, is part of what makes it happen. Do you have that for other movies? Is there another Christmas movie?
Yeah. I've got other movies that I have to watch because it's that time of year. In fact, my number 2 is one of those movies.
Okay.
Yeah, my viewing volume for these 2 movies is really based on the fact that they are traditional seasonal movies for me.
And do other things come close? Like when you're thinking about the fact that you've seen this every year, was it hard to decide? Like, are there other movies you do watch every year?
Yeah, so that's part of where I had to do the countdown. There are a couple others
that you've seen multiple times.
Groundhog Day was in the running.
Oh, you still watch Groundhog Day a lot?
I don't now, but I did then. Watch that a lot, and usually in February.
I was going to say it's a holiday based.
Yeah. And then there are several other holiday movies. I had to ask my wife the year that Love Actually was released, because she and I watched that seasonally.
And I know It's a Wonderful Life is more than just a holiday movie to you, but that triggers, to a degree, I look at, well, that triggers the repetition of it a little bit, or the return to it. Are there movies that you just, like an Empire Strikes Back, like The Goonies or something? Is there something that you just do go back to that isn't necessarily locked into because it's tied into the time of year or an event of the year?
Yeah, there are definitely those movies. And they've got high repeat viewing numbers. But for the basis of this most watched, they didn't make the cut. And it's because of the fact that I have seasonal repeat viewing, which adds to the volume of these other movies. But I know that I watched So I Married an Axe Murderer repeatedly, and that was one of those movies that I would want to share with people because it was a smaller movie. Not everybody knew it, not everybody saw it. So if I had an opportunity to watch that with new people, I would always do that.
Now, was that in a compacted amount of time? Because that's a movie, 93, I think, that came out right before you got to college. I remember liking that movie. I think I remember watching it with you.
Yeah.
Was that just a small period where you happened to have it on a lot? Because I have movies like that. There are movies that for a little period of time, they come up a few times in the year. I show them to a couple people. Like Clerks was like that. And Wayne's World was actually like that.
Wayne's World, yeah.
Like, do you still watch So I Married an Axe Murderer?
Yeah, when I have access to it. I thought I owned it, and I was looking for it the other day, actually, and couldn't find it.
But it doesn't. I'm surprised to hear that's one that you go back to because I haven't seen that in years. But that doesn't have the same draw pool or numbers. It's not reaching the same numbers as It's a Wonderful Life.
No, and again, it's because I don't have a set time of year that I know I'm going to watch it.
The ritual of it.
Yeah, there's not the ritual of it.
Well, can I ask what your second one is? Because I have a guess.
Yeah, I'm sure you're spot on with your guess. Go for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it Die Hard 2, Die Harder?
No. You're close, man. It's Die Hard.
Mr. Guest. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Unless you want to open the front door for me.
No, I'm afraid not. But you have me at a loss. You know my name, but who are you? Just another American who saw too many movies as a child. Another orphan of a bankrupt culture who thinks he's John Wayne, Rambo, Marshall Dillon.
I was always kind of partial to Roy Rogers, actually. I really like those sequin shirts.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
I had to weigh whether or not it outnumbered It's a Wonderful Life, but then I was like, no, it couldn't because I started younger with It's a Wonderful Life. It was on more often. I didn't have to make the same efforts with It's a Wonderful Life that I had to with Die Hard, so that's why it's second.
But do you watch that outside of the Christmas season?
Oh, yes.
You do. So that number is hard to come. I was going to say, because otherwise you could realistically calculate.
Yeah, I could
that number
say
is 32.
32, or I wrote down 50 to 60 for Die Hard and probably 70 to 90 for It's a Wonderful Life.
Now, is it the seasonal thing again, though? I mean,
it's the seasonal thing for sure. The seasonal thing added the volume. It's really, there are only a few movies that I can say I've watched this at least once a year since 1997.
But the choices you're making, like, is Die Hard your favorite action movie?
Yeah, I would have to say yes.
Is It's a Wonderful Life your favorite romantic comedy?
No.
Would you categorize it? Maybe it's not categorized as that. Like,
yeah,
what
I don't
type
know if
of
I would
movie
categorize
is
it
that?
way. Although it is a romance for sure.
And hilarious. That kid goes down on that sled. Pretty funny. What would you call? What kind of movie would you call that? And maybe it's not even a comedy. It's a.
It's a Wonderful Life is maybe a fantasy drama.
Is it your favorite fantasy drama?
I would say so.
Okay.
Maybe not. If I really were to sit down and think about it, I might be able to find another one.
I mean, these things are traditional, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't look at Transformers the movie as a tradition for me. It's not like every year at this time I need to watch
Well,
it. Like,
Die Hard didn't start out as a tradition.
It did not.
No, Die Hard was just fucking great. And so you want to watch it as often as possible. And it was one of the early movies I owned. And it just so happened that my mother also loved Die Hard.
So someone else kind of wanted it on.
Yeah, and so if there was a night and we were all home and nobody knew what they wanted to do, we'd watch Die Hard.
Okay, and Die Hard's a great action movie. Batman's a great action movie.
Sure, and I watched that a lot. That my brother, that was one of the early VHS tapes my brother purchased was Batman. So we watched that a lot too.
But I guess we were having different approaches because, like, if to take away the seasonal aspect of these things, yeah, it's interesting that they're your favorites that happen to be Christmas movies, or are they favorites because of that? Like, tradition changes how we feel something. The expectation of something, a good expectation, by the way, and of something we want and something to achieve makes that thing special. That's part of its charm. Inherently, without that, like a dinner with the family, a Christmas dinner with the family, sadly, those are two different things. You've seen these movies the most. And do you trust that? Because there is the expectation of tradition tied into that. Like, I would have thought one of your movies, Die Hard was what I was thinking, but a movie that I know you like is Out of Sight.
Sure. And that was 1999. So
was it?
Yeah, I believe it was. So that could have made the cut.
That is a movie you've seen a lot, right?
Oh, I've seen that a lot. I watched it just like 3 or 4 weeks ago, too.
Have you seen it this century more than you've seen Die Hard?
Have I seen, like, just overall? Or are you saying from 2000
no, I mean, I guess
since
you started seeing it, like you watch Out of Sight every year?
I don't think I've seen it every year.
You've seen it more than once in a year. Like, would you say that's maybe your third most watched film?
Third or fourth. Like I said, So I Married an Axe Murderer is up there.
Is Die Hard a better movie than Out of Sight?
Is Die Hard a better movie than Out of Sight? Well, they're different types of movies, so that makes it difficult. But
if I say, hey, Bob, it's movie night, let's watch a classic that we both enjoy, and I open the cabinet, and the VHS tapes we have to choose from are Die Hard, Out of Sight, and Follow That Bird. Like, what do you choose?
Well, if it's you and I might watch Die Hard out of those three.
But it would change with someone else.
It might, because if they haven't seen Out of Sight, I'd want them to see Out of Sight.
I was going to say, if they haven't seen any of those three, Die Hard, Out of Sight, or Follow That Bird, what's the one you're like, you've got to see?
I'd probably want them to see Out of Sight.
Oh.
Yeah.
Better movie?
I guess it's because it's a better movie. Maybe. Because it's just more modern. Maybe because I probably shouldn't do this, but if they haven't seen the movie and I'm going to introduce them to the movie, I want them to think something of me based on the movie that they're watching. So maybe that's why I'm leaning towards Out of Sight, because it's a bit of a smarter movie, I guess.
If that's why you're doing it, though, you would almost think, wouldn't that be the one you would be more often to show, more often to see? But it's not. The ones that people identify with you, because I have to say, It's a Wonderful Life is identified with you. That's kind of your movie. And Die Hard, you were, as much as and I've said this before, I hate the whole everyone's favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard bullshit that people say, but you were the first person to introduce that to me, so I think it's sincere. Your love of Die Hard, because I feel like it's become the go-to, and maybe because so many people like it. But it's been on Friends, it's been on plenty of other sitcoms and movies. It's the go-to, like, I know it's an action movie, but it's also this. Bang, rim shot. But for you, it is it's not a comical character trait. It's a real aspect of you. And you were the first person to make me see that.
You're welcome, Tim.
Well, I mean, I don't watch it that much. It's fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. But I guess what I'm wondering is, like, those movies I feel are, other people see them as you, I would think. I see Out of Sight because you had the poster up and because you watched it a lot. But it doesn't have, like, I'm trying to think of, like, what movies do I have a tradition of? And I have the tradition of, if a new Star Wars movie is coming out, I'll watch at least the 2 that came before it. I have that tradition. So in that sense, I'm always guaranteed to see a Star Wars movie, but there isn't, like, Nightmare Before Christmas.
I was going to say Nightmare. Yeah.
I love that movie, but I actually haven't watched that movie in a couple of years.
Oh, no?
Which is odd. I haven't put it on. Batman Returns, same thing. There's been a few years where I haven't seen it. And those are movies that I would be drawn to in the holidays, but there are also movies I'd watch throughout the year. Batman Returns maybe more so, but Nightmare Before Christmas, when it first came to VHS, I watched that a lot because I just loved the craft.
You and I watched it every other week, it felt like.
Really? Okay. So that was something that was very pertinent for a while, and not just because of the holidays. I don't think I have. Even though I'm saying I make it a point to watch Transformers the movie every year, it might be more or less, it's at least once a year because of how much I watch it. I don't think I have something that's assigned to it's the annual screening of Close Encounters, Even the other movie that I have, which is the other movie I think I've seen the most, I haven't watched it since 2017 when I watched it for this show, the last time I watched it. The other movie that I've seen the most after Transformers the movie is the 1991 Steve Martin comedy LA Story.
Hello.
Hello.
You're on time.
Actually, I'm late.
You're exactly on time.
But I had planned to be early.
Huh? Ow. Hey, stop. Don't. Stop. Let me pose at least. Oh, listen. I had this idea. Rather than do an interview with...
Hang on.
Rather than do an interview with me, which would be fascinating, by the way, because of the, interesting word usements I structure, I thought that I'd show you around town a little bit, a few kind of secret places, and a kind of a cultural tour of L.A.
That's the first 15 minutes. Then what?
All right, a cynic. First stop is 6 blocks from here.
Why don't we walk?
Walk? A walk in L.A.?
This movie taught me so much about writing. At the time, I was writing a lot more back then, and it taught me how to kind of write screenplays and comedies and romances. It gave me a clouded sense of romance.
Yeah.
It taught me how to, similar to Anything But Love, similar to Richard Lewis and Eventually Friends, it gave me a template of how to act. And that's not a good template, but this was one of the first films I felt really defined me and also represented me. So I think this was one of the reasons I saw this so much is whenever there was someone I was interested in or someone I was getting close to, I would play this. Not saying, hey, this movie's me, but as a way of like, they'll see this and they'll get to know me. So this was a movie I thought was kind of the Rosetta Stone into me. So I just watched it a lot.
Did you share it with anyone besides females?
I was thinking about that. Not intentionally. I mean, I think
you
like
shared it with me.
Like I had, what was that?
You shared it with me.
I did. Now, when I shared it, did I say, did I just put it on or did I play it up like this is one of my favorite movies? Like, when did we watch it?
God, I can't. I think it was after college. We didn't really watch too many. I mean, I remember when we roomed with Joe and Chris, they had the Laserdisc player. I don't know if we watched it then.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Because I think it was. You knew you were my friend. You already knew who I was. I think it was when it was, it's a romantic comedy. So it's someone who I'm romantically interested in. I guess I'll show it to you. Like it had a shorthand purpose that I guess I was really desperate to reach out to people with. And that's why I kept screening it. But I don't.
And you would show them that and not Transformers. You wanted them to know your LA Story persona and not your Transformers persona.
I don't think I thought of Transformers as my persona. I mean, I'm sure they knew I liked Transformers. I mean, I still talked about it. It was on the shelf, and we probably would watch it, but it wasn't... Transformers isn't a date movie, in my mind. Transformers isn't the movie where you're going to get to know me. Transformers is the movie I want to share. It's like, you gotta see this. It's great. But you're not going to figure me out from that.
It would be the second movie you show someone you're just getting to know.
I was probably sadly chasing Amy for a while, which I'm glad it's not now. But like in a lot of ways, Transformers movie probably says more about who I was, has more elements of who I was. LA Story, though, it really was this important representation, which is this period of time where I probably was trying to figure myself out. Like returning to this movie, there was a feel to it. There was a world to it. There was a way of talking to it. There was a sensation that I was trying to emulate. So it was a packaged way of things working out.
Yeah.
But it was cast with different actors and it was fictional, but I could live that. And I think I did that with sitcoms. I did that with multiple things for a while and I don't anymore. And I'm just fascinated because it doesn't have the tradition of what you're like. I guess maybe if I was single and seeing people all the time, we'd be watching it. But I don't know. I mean, do you watch movies anymore? Are you prone to sit down and watch a movie? I know you have. It's important probably to have these traditions. Like it's Christmas. We have to watch Die Hard. We have to watch It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Are you watching movies otherwise?
Not really. I mean, life has changed so much. I think we've talked about this before. I mean, my kids, and I don't know if you end up cutting out what we tangent from earlier. My kids only watch a particular type of movie. They don't like to try new things. And so as much as I want to sit down and watch movies with my girls, it doesn't happen. And so I'm not watching movies as much. And then when my wife and I have a free moment and it's time to watch a movie, either it's too late to start one or we can't decide what we want. We're not really in the mood to focus and try something new. So we just watch, an old episode of something that we're familiar with.
From what you're saying, and I have a version of it, I don't have kids, but I do have a version of it. It's, the time to watch movies is less. It's reduced. So it's almost weird that you know, if you have a time of year where you're making it the same movie, if it's always going to be the same movie, it's always going to be It's a Wonderful Life. Like for me, I'll watch big action movies again. Like if a Star Wars or Marvel movie's coming out, I make a little marathon of something, so I'll see those.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to invest in a new movie. So I know there'll never be a movie that I've seen as much as I've seen these other movies.
Right.
There'll never be a movie I see more than twice, maybe in the theater, which I've done for like the most recent Avenger movies. I saw them twice, but like I saw the X-Files like 7 times in the theater. I saw Chasing Amy 5 times. Like I used to go to movies multiple times, even in the theater. So I don't repeat it in that medium anymore. But I've also lost not the joy, but like I don't rewatch films as much as I used to. And maybe we can wrap up with this. Like I'll continue rewatching Transformers the movie. I'll watch it again this year probably. LA Story, I'm sure I'm going to watch it again, but more years could pass. I'm not, even though I built up those numbers, I'm not going to head back to it.
Yeah.
And nothing's going to trump it. I'm sorry, Jesus. Nothing's going to oust it. Nothing's going to beat that number because I'm just not repeating stuff anymore.
Right.
Would you be able to go a year without Die Hard?
I would, yeah. I could go a year without Die Hard. I could go a year without It's a Wonderful Life. And
you could?
I could.
I didn't think A Wonderful Life would be something you necessarily could.
I mean, I could because I'm a grown man and I understand that it doesn't affect me, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's difficult because my wife and I, we rotate, I think 4 movies around the holiday that we always want to see. It's these 2, Love Actually and The Family Stone.
On those last 2. The Family Stone.
Have you seen The Family Stone?
No, I must be thinking of the wrong movie.
Yeah, that's Craig T. Nelson and I can't think of her name, the Woody Allen actress.
Mia Farrow?
No.
Diane Keaton.
And Rachel McAdams is in it. And
I want to say you lost me at Craig T. Nelson. And that's
how do I lose you? I started with Craig T. Nelson so I wouldn't lose you.
You lost me with a coach and continued through the First Wives Club.
Oh, man.
And didn't win me back with whatever Rachel McAdams movie is where she's in France.
Oh, I don't know that one.
I don't know the name of it.
But no, it's a family comedy drama, romance. It's great. I recommend it. But there are times where because that's a newer movie, we'll watch that one. And I have over time made sure to squeeze in my Die Hard and It's a Wonderful Life, and I've started watching It's a Wonderful Life with the girls. They've seen it the last couple of years. The others would be like nighttime wrapping gifts movies.
Tradition again, they're tradition.
So if it turned out one year I don't watch Die Hard because it's too violent for the girls and we just haven't found time to squeeze it in, so be it. But I'm sure I'd watch it the following week. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have to fall on. But that's what you're saying. Like,
you still need to see it.
Could I go a year?
Yeah,
I still feel like I do need to watch it once a year. I get what you're saying.
I mean, that's why they resonate, I guess. It must be more than just a tradition. Obviously, there's more to it. It's interesting as I get older. You know, the pop culture doesn't recede. If anything, it reevaluates just reinforces itself. Like I'm still surrounded by a lot of the same things, and they bring comfort, but there is also a practical and a psychological and a sociological. There's meaning and purpose to it.
Yeah.
And I do continue getting that from Transformers the movie. I don't think I get that from LA Story anymore. I still enjoy it. It's a nice walk down memory lane. It fell in the right part of my life to be repeated on a day-to-day basis.
Would you say, Tim, if you don't mind me making this segue, would you say that maybe you've seen LA Story enough?
No, because I could still see it again.
Okay.
But why ask that?
Because we've got a part 2.
That's right. You can take it from here. I'll put some music under you. It'll be very thrilling.
So
what are you talking about?
We've talked about the movies that we've seen the most and that we continue to want to watch. But there's also that aspect of movies that we've seen enough. That we've watched them a lot. And maybe we don't need to see them again. And that's next week or 2 weeks.
That's in 2 weeks, people.
2 weeks.
That's right. So yeah, come back in 2 weeks to 20th Century Pop, the show that you can listen to. You listen to now. I wonder what's going to happen next time. You can listen to it then too. And you can listen to it by going to napods.com, nahpods.com. That's the Nada Holograms website. The most recent episode is always there, along with links to all of our past episodes. You can also subscribe to the show there so you never miss an episode of the show. You can follow 20th Century Pop at 20popcast, both on Twitter and Instagram. And if you do visit the Nada Holograms webpage, if you're interested, I do have a couple other shows up there right now, Menage a Pop, and hopefully, if things go well, the Inexplicable Book Club will both have episodes up this week, so you can check those things out too. Bob, I'm so thrilled for 2 weeks, but prior to those 2 weeks, is there a way that you want people to know who you are to keep you in mind from now till then?
It's a very strange way of presenting that. But
you say strange, I'd say like maybe not very good.
If people want to keep me in their thoughts, they can go to Twitter at RH Canning. See me there.
They want to keep you in their feed.
Yeah, keep me. Follow me. Do that. Because I am so active on Twitter. I will become more active if I have more followers. So follow me on Twitter and encourage me to post.
Yes, help them sell out, everybody. That's what that sounded like.
This is really easy.
That sounded only commercial, but okay.
This is really easy for folks. Go to 20th Century Popcast on Twitter and share with us your most watched movies. I'd like to know, are they traditional or are they just so good that you have to watch them as often as possible? Share those lists with us, and then start thinking about the movies that you've seen enough, and we'll talk about those in 2 weeks, and we'll get those lists as well.
Sounds good. And that's 20 Popcast. I don't know if you said that.
Say?
It's at 20 Popcast, not I think you might have said 20th Century Popcast.
I might have done that.
But and no one's going to do it, so at the end it doesn't really matter. But for the consistency of what's in the show notes, it's 20 Popcast.
Thanks for clarifying.
You know how everybody doesn't watch TV, but they do? He doesn't have a computer, but he has a phone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't watch TV. Well, you watch Arliss, right? Yeah, I watch Arliss, sure. Well, that's TV. No, I'm streaming it. I binge it. I watch all the Arliss.
That's HBO.
That's still garbage. I mean, sorry. That's still watching TV. I had to let my opinion on Arliss slip out. Did you ever watch Arliss?
No, I didn't have HBO when Arliss was a thing.
I didn't either, but I somehow know it's awful. Like, I don't... I just have the image of the promotional images of a really overly smiling Robert Wool.
Wasn't there, like, some sketches on, like, I don't know, Mad TV or something that mocked it, or SNL?
Maybe. It was on for 48 years. It has a very long run. Almost as long as Dream On.
Dream On?
Did you watch that with Brian Benben?
I would watch it when we would have the free HBO weekends because there was nudity.
Oh, was it on HBO? I must have seen edited versions on Fox when they reran it.
Oh, yeah. No, I think it was an HBO thing. It started on HBO.
Years later, that actor, Brian Benben, had a sitcom, at least a pilot, because I recently saw the opening credits on YouTube, called The Brian Benben Show.
Wow.
Yeah. Look that up.
He had made it.
What was that?
He had made it.
I think he made it with Dream On. That was a big deal.
Yeah, it wasn't just Joey. It was Brian Benben Show. Because Joey was just his first name, but that wasn't even the actor's name. So I don't.
Was that the character's name? Because I'm going to say the same people created Friends, so maybe that was a reference to the spinoff Joey.
I think of Matt LeBlanc as Joey. I don't think of him as a real human.
Matt LeBlanc doesn't play Brian Benben.
Nobody could. No, I was just saying as an example. Never mind.
Oh, he had his own show. It was called Joey.
He had his first and last name used.
His name is Episodes. Episodes of LeBlanc.
Whereas Joey was just Joey, but that's also not the actor's name. I couldn't think fast enough of a show that was just the first name of a real person. Roseanne. I should have gone with Roseanne.
No, that's one. Sure.
There we go.
The Bob Newhart Show.
See, that's where Brian Benben got. Brian Benben got to Bob Newhart territory.
The Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah.
The Mary Tyler Moore. I could do this for a while.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's how good he was. Those names, those shows are classics.
Yes.
Whereas Joey wasn't such a classic, but it also wasn't the actor's name. So it doesn't work.
Do you remember the opening theme to Joey?
I watched one episode of Joey, so no, I don't.
What?
Remember.
You only watched one episode of Joey?
I did. I didn't care for it. And I also was working in the evening when it was on, and I didn't have a TiVo at the time. Actually, I did have a TiVo at the time, but I didn't feel like I needed to record it.
Okay, well, we should look up that theme song one of these days. Or look up All-Star.
I don't have to look up All-Star.
Do you have it?
I don't have it, but...
You don't own it.
How do
you own Third Eye Blind?
I have no Third Eye Blind.
I have 2 copies, both of which were given to me by 2 different people of the album that has Semi-Charmed Life on it.
Nice.
One of them was kind of a joke gift from a friend who knew I wasn't, at the time, huge into the song. The other was a very serious gift from a customer at a coffee shop in 2005. It was like, this album's great, changed my life. And I looked at it.
Wait, in 2005 he gave it to you?
Yes.
Okay. Wasn't that like 97, 98?
Yeah, no. That is when it came out. It was an older album. It had changed his life previously, not that day.
But still.
But when he said, here's the, like, he liked the Replacements. It was a much older guy. And I would play Replacements, and he liked that. So he said, I'm going to bring some CDs in for. He's like, you don't have to do that. He brought a Modest Mouse CD in, which was fine.
That's nice.
Something else. But then the one that changed his life. And as he handed it to me and I saw it coming to my hands, I actually had to hold back from saying, that's not good. Like, that was my... That's not even clever, but that was going to be my response. But I took it. So I had 2 copies of it. One of which has this guy's name written on it because he wrote his name on the CDs, and the other one didn't. Turns out I like Semi-Charmed Life, but I don't know the rest of it.
Yeah, there's Semi-Charmed Life. There's that Wish You Would Step Back From That Ledge, My Friend. That song? That's a decent song.
I don't know, but I bet I would have thought, no, go ahead.
I actually enjoy the singles that I heard from that album,
which is those 2 songs, I think.
Which I think there might have been a third one, but I haven't heard the rest of the album, so I don't know how good or bad it is. But I have that reaction too. There are people that I've known who will post something about like this movie. I wish I had an example, but they'd be like, "Oh, greatest movie ever," and it's like, I don't know, that Miley Cyrus Last Song movie or something.
It's Miley. Miley Cyrus.
What did I say?
Molly Cyrus.
Did I?
That's what I heard.
That's my accent. But it's like, these aren't, no, those aren't.
Hannah Cyrus.
Those aren't the best movies. I don't understand why you're saying that's the best. It might be fine, but that's not, it'll never be on a 100 greatest films of all time list.
Yeah, but who makes those lists?
Well,
AMC, IMDb, all the big letters do it.
Yeah, but still.
No, it's true. There's some things that I perceive as crap that the world loves. I don't quite get it.
Maybe we can talk about a certain band and what the world thinks of this band.
Third Eye. Oh, this one. That makes more sense. Yeah. All right.
But I don't want you to get
You don't want me to what?
I don't want you to be up too late. I know we started late.
I'm going to be fine. I don't have to get up until next Tuesday. Right. And that's only to place an order for something.
Okay.
But you might have stuff to do.
No, not really.
No?
No, I mean, the girls
you
will be
also
going
may
to
not
bed
want
soon.
to do this for too long, which I understand too.
No, I mean,
I'm not a lot of fun right now. I get it.
It should be fine. My wife is done with her project, so she doesn't need this computer, so I should be fine to take as long as we need.
Project X. Are you gone?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, you just didn't want to talk about that monkey movie?
I was waiting for you to swallow.
Oh, is that loud? I'm sorry. I didn't move away from the mic, but I guess can you hear me unscrewing this obnoxious top to my water bottle?
Yes.
You can? Oh,
yes.
Sorry.
That's okay.